Baseball Show, Monday, March 14th. Another GM episode. This time we're doing the Colorado Rockies. Jack McMullen, Aram Layton. Oh shit! The lockout's over. We don't need to do that anymore.
We survived. It was like we were running out of resources.
We were gonna have to do the White Sox farm system.
The Rockies was the equivalent of like we're out of water. Rockies is drink your own piss. Like that's where you're at that point where you're gonna try it, but I don't think you'll get any hydration out of it. And you're dead still, but you're gonna try it. That's what the Rockies were. We had a little bit more water left before that, but we were getting there.
I think the Rockies GM episode was going to be our 100-day lockout extravaganza. So we were a day short, 99 days. They saved us.
I will say, though, there is a scenario where the Rockies give us some entertaining TV. And it starts with signing Albert Pujols. If the Rockies sign Albert Pujols, which they've been rumored to, I'm sorry, I wasn't planning on talking about this, so I don't have the reported to attribute it to, but I'm sure if you search Pujols, you can go find it on Twitter. But he will hit 20 to 25 jacks there, and he'll get to close to 700. I'm so in on him in Coors Field.
That would be absolutely hilarious. They already are providing great TV with Alex Colomé, Jose Iglesias, and Scott Schebler. But the great news about no lockout happening is we can actually talk about shit that's happened in baseball in recent memory. Oh my God.
Can you imagine? Well, that aside, more important, Jose Iglesias might hit like 5 home runs at Coors.
A whopping 5.
He might get you 5. That's half a double digits, as we like to call it.
Yeah, halfway to 10. We say halfway to 100 when somebody scores 50.
You round up.
So he pretty much hit 10 bombs.
Double digit bombs.
Yeah, how about that? This is awesome. And a lot of people were saying, Heyman, Passan, Ken Rosenthal, a lot of them were saying, get ready for the craziest 48-hour stretch, 72-hour stretch in free agent history. Hasn't been the case.
No.
But if you're looking at quantity over quality, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad it's been more of a slow burn because, I mean, it's miserable. We see some of baseball's best players, like Yasmani Grandal, remember, didn't he hold out for like months into the season a few years ago? Yeah. Like the Boris clients usually. So usually it's atrociously slow. This is still way more expedited than anything we're used to. And I think people got a little tease before the lockout of everybody getting it in before the deadline and forgot that this is still light years ahead of what we're used to in terms of MLB offseason stuff and just the pace of things. So I'm cool with it. It didn't need to be a frenzy all at once. I'm having a good time. We've still had some like really exciting moves. I'm really pumped to talk about, like the Sonny Gray trade, big leaguer for big leaguer trade with IKF and Mitch Garver. Like there's been some really not blockbuster moves, but unique, thought-provoking type of trades that I like. And we're seeing the free agent market start to pick up.
What your guy, Eli Sussman at Fist Stripes, he said MLB at Bat pushed the notification for the Sonny Gray deal as a blockbuster. And he was like, I don't necessarily know if that qualifies.
I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that. That's a funny catch by Eli. Yeah. I don't know if I'd call that one a blockbuster, but I do like that. I don't know if we're going to start with that off the bat, but like there's a lot. I wrote a quick blurb on it because I was getting a lot of Reds fans asking me about Petty. But also some Twins fans that are like, what is our direction? And I think this kind of answers that question that the Twins are trying to be competitive now. We talked about it when we talked about the Twins. We said, like, they're not that far off. They got to figure out the pitching, but there's a lot going on here and they're not that far off. They should go for it. But we say that about a lot of teams that don't go for it. Right. The Twins are going for it.
They are, and a lot of their best prospects will be up this year. When you look at Austin Martin, when you look at Jose Miranda, who I know that you absolutely love, when you look at on the mound, Jordan Balazovic, who I know you are also relatively high on, right? Simeon Woods Richardson, who they just got in the Barrios deal as well. He can slot into a big league bullpen this year. So the Twins are interesting. We will start with the Sonny Gray deal, sending him to Minnesota for Chase Petty. Francis Piguero went back. But before we do that, I want to hit this again because you teased it and I don't want to leave it. I think a lot of people were expecting that the lockout would be lifted and then within 10 minutes, Correa, Bryant, Conforto, Rodon, they would all sign right away. They did not. The first 3 that I just mentioned, Correa, Bryant, Conforto, are all Boris guys. Mm-hmm. Traditionally, Boris guys hold out a little bit longer. In your mind, what kind of timeline are we looking at for Correa, Bryant, Conforto? Do you have a guess?
It's funny. I think that it depends on how quickly the rest of the guys go. Cause you hit the nail on the head, right? Boris likes to let the market set itself and then go above that, right? And right now we're still seeing the market kind of set itself. It seems like there's some guys that are getting some pretty decent paydays. Jonathan VR turned down 6.5 mil plus $1 million in incentives. So Boris knows what he's doing. And I don't think he was going to let this situation kind of change his approach. I still think these guys are obviously all going to get signed before the season starts, but I think we're going to see the rest of the shoes drop in the next 24 to 48 is what it seems like. I know that was something even like Craig Mish was talking about. The Marlins are like, Marlins fans are freaking out. And he's like, be patient. 24 to 48, they're going to strike. They're kind of waiting. So I think like once the Nelson Cruzes, not Conforto since he's a Boris client, but those types of guys, I think then we'll start to see the domino effect. But then we might see it catch fire, Jack. It might end up going from there and being like, boom. And then it's a spark plug.
Yeah, we'll see, right? Like Castellanos goes like, okay, now we know the market for Conforto, up it by $10 million. And then you see Chris Bryant go and say, okay, triple that. And then that's what Correa gets. Like that.
Or like, what about Story? What about when Story, let's say Story gets some surprising contract. Now Correa is able to say like, okay, all right. I mean, like, look at what that guy did last year at Coors and look at what I did. You should triple that. Like,
right.
That's
right. And you say, look at that Corey Seager deal that he just signed in November.
Yeah.
Like $1 million more than that. Give me the Lindor deal. Give me the Lindor treatment where I go 341 instead of 340.
I still can't believe he did that.
That was the most petty shit ever. We'll also get to the Mets adding a 3, maybe the best 3 in baseball. But first, let's start. Sonny Gray, Francis Peguero from Cincinnati to Minnesota for Chase Petty. First, Cincinnati's perspective. They're blowing shit up when they do not need to. They don't need to at all. If you went and re-signed Castellanos, you are a wild card sleeper again. With an expanded postseason, you're getting in. Like, you've got Joey Votto. You are wasting away Votto's career. You've got the reigning NL Rookie of the Year in Jonathan India. You've got a frontline guy in Luis Castillo. You've got Lodolo and Green joining them this year. And you've got Jesse Winker, who's an all-star. You've got Jose Barrero, who's going to be the starting shortstop and a pretty good one at that. Eugenio Suarez cannot be worse.
I actually think he's going to bounce back. That's my hot take for the year. I actually think he's going to be good, but continue. You're making a good point.
But like, this is a decent roster and they have decided to start the rebuild.
Yeah, it doesn't really make it. It's funny because you list all that out, and then you have Nick Lodolo and Hunter Green not far off. Graham Ashcraft is, probably not going to be a starter, but is going to be a really unique bullpen arm that's probably going to be ready at some point this year.
He sits 99.
Yeah, he sits 99, and you can stretch him out. So you can use him as a bit of a Swiss Army knife in a high-end style.
Like
this is exactly. And his cutter is just like Class A's. And if Class A was a starter, kind of went all in on the cutter as a back-end reliever, there's a lot of similarities there, as crazy as it sounds. The Reds reportedly want to use him as a closer, a reliever. Like, this is a team that has a lot of pieces. And you wonder how a young Rookie of the Year breaking out for you, who you weren't really counting on being that level of player when you asked him probably 2 years ago, how do you look at that and say, okay, yeah, let's start this thing over? Joey Votto is aging, right? Like, you're still getting good baseball out of Joey Votto for another year or two. And you're just like, let's start over. I don't know. I don't think it's a full teardown personally, Jack. I think it's a restructure. It's a cheaper restructure, but going out to get a Tucker, or no, I mean, gosh, like even trading away Tucker Barnhart, like they're just, what's their angle?
Was it a trade or was it a free agent thing for Barnhart?
They traded him for the third baseman that I don't like, the Padres. I mean for the Tigers.
The Tigers. Not Paredes.
I mean, nuts. No, it's not Paredes. It was college guy, underperformed.
I'll tell you right now.
I'll
tell you right now, but continue.
Yeah. So, I mean, even then I'm like, okay, they traded away Barnhart. $22 million over the next 2 years is what Sonny Gray is owed. So it's not like it's something crazy expensive, and it's a club option for the next year. So when you look at it from that lens, I'm just wondering, why would you feel like Sonny Gray is movable in terms of, like, if you keep him, you have Luis Castillo, Sonny Gray, and you have those other guys that are ready to contribute and help soon in the minor leagues. To me, it just says, I don't want to pay the money. The writing's on the wall. We're waiting for this Votto contract to end. And then we're just going to, and Eugenio as well. And we're just going to go cheap. We're going to go small market again. They try to spend their way to the middle of the pack. And I think they say that they don't want to go there again. That's kind of what they're showing me.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, man. Cause like Sonny Gray upped it in the second half of the year. Like he and Luis Castillo upped it at the same time. And while the Padres were free falling, the Reds were climbing and climbing and climbing. And then neither ended up getting there because the Cardinals just went ballistic at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But Cincinnati always looked like a team that could do it with firepower on the offensive side and serviceable enough pitching with more reinforcements on the way. And you just took away one of the guys that was there and pitching really well. If you had a top three of Castillo, Gray, and Tyler Mahle, and you add Lodolo and Green in 2022, it's must-watch television every night.
100%. And they could have just went out and gotten bring Johnny Cueto back.
Why not?
As a depth arm, right? And that's a guy that's holding it down until then. He's a ground ball pitcher who has rediscovered his ability to get ground balls again. He was very solid for the Giants when he was healthy. That's your depth arm until those other two are ready, and you're good to go. And if you're worried about money, you can look forward to the fact that Eugenio Suarez is 20 plus million, will be off the books in a couple of years. Joey Votto is going to be off the books in a couple of years. But Bob Castellini just didn't want to wait any longer to clear up some money. I think that's very clear because, I mean, you look at Sonny Gray's deal, it's 10.2 million this year. It's 12 million club option next year if you really wanted to decline it. But from the Twins lens, I love the Sonny Gray move because Gray is he was underratedly affected by Great American Ballpark. I mean, we always talk about the splits, but Gray's strikeout to walk ratio the last 3 years has been phenomenal. We saw him put it back together with the Reds. We saw him great in the shortened season. Then he had a bad first half last year, and we forget that Sonny Gray had actually been great after he left the Yankees, like really, really darn good. And all of a sudden we forget that. His home road splits, 3.44 ERA on the road and a 3.20 FIP on the road. At home, 4.89 ERA, 4.73 FIP. And he's going from a place that is the third worst park to pitch in, according to Baseball Savant's Park Factor, now going to the 18th most hitter-friendly ballparks. So it skews towards, pitcher-friendly.
Yeah.
His swing and miss stuff has been as good as ever. And now he's going to a better environment. He's going to be a solid number 2 for them. I really think so.
Yeah, 100%. Now you got to go get a number 1, though, if you're Minnesota.
Yeah, I was going to say he's their number 1, but he's going to be a traditional solid number 2.
Yeah, you have to get a traditional number 2 to be the 1A, 1B with Sonny Gray right now, because I was just talking about it with a couple other people. Like the rotation as it stands now with Sonny Gray as the 1, Dylan Bundy as the 2, Joe Ryan is the 3. Joe Ryan's good. Like he can turn into a 2.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think he's going to settle into a middle rotation arm and a good one. And I think he's going to show you flashes of that too. I think if the velo ticks up, for sure.
Yeah. And then you got Bailey Ober as the 4, who I am unfair on. Colby Olson called me out on that. He's tall. Give that to him. He's tall.
But he's a steady back end arm. Like he's steady. He doesn't walk guys. He mixes it up. He gets outs. I don't know. He never gets blown up.
Would you rather have Griffin Jacks, Randy Dobnak as your 5, or just take a forfeit 3-0 loss?
I think I would start a game with a 3-0 deficit and pitch somebody else. Like
on short rest.
Dobnak cannot happen. They have a couple other pieces. You mentioned Jordan Balazovic. Like that's a guy that is not far off, but you can't go into the season assuming that he's going to be up and ready to help you. Same with John Duran. I think they've got to go look around. Even that's another team that maybe a Greinke is fine in the meantime until one of those prospects help. Maybe a Cueto is fine. I'm fine with that, but I still think they need that impact arm that's that other number 2, and I think you're going to get that from the A's. I don't know if it's Frankie Montes or if it's Sean Manaea, but I think they need to go get one of those guys. I lean Manaea because they need a lefty in there. Yeah. He's not a number 2-ish, but he's another 3 or better that slides right into your rotation is much needed. And now that rotation is respectable and the offense can carry some of the load.
Don't tell Manaea, or don't tell the Twins that Manaea is the answer, because I want the White Sox going to get Manaea.
Okay.
Francis Piguero is a flyer. He's a 24-year-old closer in high A. Like, I don't know if he'll ever make it. If he does, it'll be as a sixth inning guy when things go to shit. But that doesn't matter when you go and get Sonny Gray. Chase Petty, what do you think?
I was thinking about it and I wrote this up on the website actually. And also, by the way, shout out to Ryan Finkelstein with his, our managing editor has been doing a great job with the free agency thread, which is actually what I'm
amazing
using
with that.
I'm using it right now. It's on our website. The free agency thread is how I'm able to make sure we're not missing any moves. But I also did a separate write-up on this one. And look, I look at it from this lens. The Twins are making it clear that they want to try to be pretty competitive now. And over the next couple of years, I think they showed that with the Buxton deal, and now they've showed that with the trades that they've made. Even though the Mitch Garver one was confusing, I think it all kind of makes sense now because they really like what they have in Jeffers. But when I'm looking at what this situation is with Petty, I would rather trade him than Balazovic. I'd rather trade him than some of these other pieces that may not have the same upside, but they're not 4 years away with massive risk. I mean, Petty throws 102 for those who might not know, but it's high effort, and you don't know what the command's going to look like. Jack, I mean, who would you have traded? Is that the arm that you're still trading in this situation, or is there someone else that you would have rather have traded? Like, would you rather have kept Simeon Woods Richardson and would you rather do what they did or trade someone else? Essentially, is the best way to ask that.
A lot of people are saying, "Wow, the Twins are stupid for trading Chase Petty." I don't think they're that stupid for trading Chase Petty.
It's a risky profile.
It's a very risky profile. And we've seen a lot of these high school righties that throw 102, 103 miles an hour not pan out. And we just talked about two of them last week, Tyler Kolek and Riley Pint. I don't want to say that Chase Petty will be that because I don't wish that upon anybody. But we're just saying that the possibility is there. And the recent track record of righties that throw 102 when they're 17 years old hasn't really panned out for anybody recently. Hunter Green would be the first in a while to actually pan out.
And he's the freakiest athlete, and also was a two-way player who was, really using all of his body well. The problem is when guys throw that hard, their bodies there's just so much stress on that arm from such a young age because it's just not proportionate. It's like almost being too fast for your body with your arm speed. It really is. Yeah. And that's why we see that wear and tear. Like, I don't think that there's any reason to think that Chase Petty won't be great based on Chase Petty. It's just the profile, right? And if you have someone like Jordan Balazovic, who's the opposite, super big dude, who's already shown to have success in Double-A. Simeon Woods Richardson was one of the youngest pitchers in Double-A and produced good strikeout numbers, but he's got to get the velo up a little bit. But again, a guy that's way further along. They're not trading Matt Canarino because his stuff is arguably just as nasty. Yeah. And he has a little bit of a more intriguing, I think, profile with high A success. I think you're trading the most high risk arm. Yes, high upside, but high risk arm. You didn't have to trade any other pieces.
Yep.
And you got a really good pitcher for the next 2 years for only $22 million over those 2 years. It's a no-brainer.
100%. We are about 20 minutes into this podcast and we have only discussed one move. Baseball is freaking back, baby. Let's go. Next move. Now. The Mets got their three. Chris Bassett goes from Oakland to New York for JT Ginn and Adam Aller. I have never in my life heard of Adam Aller. JT Ginn, I know, can be a piece for Oakland. I think they like pieces. I also don't think they like contending, even though they could have contended.
They hate another team that hates contending.
Oh, God, give me assets. Somebody works assets. Need them.
Yes.
Bassett gone. What do you think about that from the Oakland side first?
Yeah, I mean, we knew Oakland was going to do this, right? But it's not a bad return given that Bassett, he was an all-star last year, of course, but he's 33, only has 1 year of control, which is this coming season at about $8 million, and he's a free agent. And I assume he's going to want to go get his bag because it's going to be his last contract. It could be the Mets extending him, but he's going to want to get his bag. So I think it's a good return given those circumstances. JT Ginn's a guy we talked about when we talked about the Mets system. And, he's not going to ever be an ace, but he gets a ton of ground balls. He's got a good slider. His command is pretty strong. He looks to be getting better and better since coming off of that Tommy John surgery. His velo went up as the year went on. I would put a lot of money on JT again being a legit back end of the rotation starter. And I think he's got a little bit more upside than that. So to get that in the deal, I don't think is a horrible thing at all. The return's not that bad given the circumstances. There really just is no reason for them to be burning it down other than, the obvious, which is money, because that's another team that's not that far off from being pretty good.
Yeah. Walk rate around 6% for JT Ginn this year. I mean, like he's got great command. He pounds the bottom half of the zone. He'll get a lot of ground balls. Oakland loves that shit. For Oakland, okay, great. Bassett's gone. Now rip the Band-Aid off. Put me out of my misery. Trade Chapman, trade Olsen, trade Minaya, trade Montas, trade Laureano, trade whoever else you can, and put together the best high A baseball team the world has ever seen.
That's what everybody wants to see, right? I mean,
everybody wants to watch the Lansing Lugnuts.
So what's going to happen next, right? We're going to see Montas gone. We're going to see Minaya gone, I think. We're going to see all those guys go. And Chapman's been rumored to the Phillies, so it should be interesting. But for the Mets, we just talked about it on the GM episode with Ryan Finkelstein. They needed another arm in there, right? DeGrom, we hope he's healthy. No need to have him carrying the rotation on his back. Scherzer, you don't want to use him every fifth day, maxing him out to 120 pitches either. And then we have to see what Taijuan Walker is going to be. He was horrible in the second half, right? Like that's a question as well. There's a lot of question marks in that rotation in terms of whether it's health or second half performance. And I think it's really good to have that almost consistent as it gets type of arm with Bassett.
After the Dodgers with the 1, 2, 3 of DeGrom, Scherzer, and Bassett, are the Mets your second favorite out of the National League?
Assuming everybody's healthy, absolutely.
And it's not close.
No.
I'd take them over the Padres.
If you erase like LOL Mets, like that type of approach, or it's just like the Mets can't win shit, whatever. Right. It's a new owner. It's a new coach or new manager. It's mostly an entirely wiped out new front office and a lot of new players. Like, yes, it's the Mets, but unless you believe in omens and curses, it's totally different. And I think people will forget about all that very quickly if the Mets come out and they're just great. And I think that's very possible.
As somebody who is incredibly superstitious, I will tell you that there is a price to overcome bad omens. Like there is a price to overcome bad luck. And I think Steve Cohen is willing to pay that price for the Mets.
Yeah, it's around $300 million.
Yeah. And I think they'll get there.
Yeah, they're getting close. I understand it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy when you're like, oh, the Mets haven't won in this many years. They haven't won in this many years or whatever. Like I get it. But at the end of the day, I think they're going to find a way. So that was a great move. And I think that was one of the most no-brainers we saw, I think, on the buyer side too.
Yeah. Happy start to NCAA tournament week. It's like Gonzaga, right? How do you get over the hump? How do you get over this curse? Oh, you can't win the big one. Just go get Chet Holmgren and Drew Timme and put them on the same team.
Yep.
It's pretty
bring
simple.
back a lot of your dudes. Like it's easy money.
Yeah, right. Next one. The Twins go and get Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. They got IKF and Ronnie Enriquez for Mitch Garver. So the Rangers just got their starting catcher with Jonah High moving to a backup role. And the Twins just got their shortstop. Jorge Polanco is going to play second base. Josh Donaldson, as it stands now, is going to play third. What do you think?
Yeah, I saw Twins fans upset about that one. And they're like, what's going on? I follow a couple Twins beat writers that I really enjoy, and they weren't happy with it. And I'm like, why? I can understand why you're upset about trading Mitch Garver, because when he's healthy, I mean, he's got some of the best power potential in terms of production that you're going to see at the catching position. But Mitch Garver is not great defensively. We know he struggles to stay healthy. It's been a really big struggle for him. And I look at it from the Twins ones. They don't really need him. They love Ryan Jeffers. I love Ryan Jeffers. I think Jeffers has a chance to be a much more well-rounded catcher, and he's younger and he has more control. So they're trying to cash in on Garver now while his value is still the highest because he put up his best offensive season in a while and he still has control. And they said, we don't want lower level prospects. I think they could have maximized the prospect return. They maybe could have even gotten a fringe top 100 guy, but they said, no, we want to help this team win now. And I think people saw it backwards. And I was trying to explain, like, no, it's not like that. And then fortunately, the Sonny Gray move put that to bed pretty quickly. But going to get IKF was saying, hey, we want to be competitive now. We're going to have a placeholder there. until hopefully, we get Royce Lewis, or we'll have to go do something else. But IKF in the future will be a really good super utility guy. And in the short term, I think is fine as your starting shortstop. This is a team that started Andrelton Simmons there last year, and IKF is a lot better than that.
A lot better than that. Kiter Falefa is he's a serviceable starting shortstop. He can also hop at third if Donaldson goes down and you feel like Royce Lewis is ready to come up and go, right? He can go a bunch of different places. He broke in as a catcher. He can play anywhere around the diamond. Isaiah Kiner Falefa is a great guy to have as your starting shortstop and your secondary option at a bunch of different places. I love Garver to Texas. I love it because they addressed the middle infield. They went and got John Gray as well. Okay, you still have a lot of work to do. Where are you going to start? Their answer was catcher. Okay, you went and got Mitch Garver. You've got Jonah Heim as your backup, who's one of the best pitch callers, pitch framers in the game. And then you work around. You've got a very solid first baseman right now in Nathaniel Lowe. And then you have other pieces that could be somewhat exciting there. Who knows what Nick Solak can contribute to a Major League Baseball team? Maybe a little bit. There are some other guys there that could help the Rangers be a lot better than what they were last year, especially with Seager and Simeon coming.
Oh, dude, I loved the move from their lens, right? I mean, you have the really good defensive catcher in Jonah Heim. So if you're struggling, if Garver's struggling defensively, you're good there. But I think Garver will be more than fine. I think it was more of a health thing that was resulting in some of the inconsistencies defensively.
Yeah.
But I love it because Heim is one of the higher end backup catchers in baseball. So you can split up some time. You can preserve Garver, not have to run him into the ground. You can DH him a lot of games because this is a guy, again, that I forget what the exact number of games was, but it was less than 160 and he had more than 50 home runs, I think, across that span. It was something like insane. If you piece together his seasons, the power is there. And I think he's in a better situation where he's not going to have to be ridden into the ground as much. And the Rangers addressed the catching position with only $3 million added to the payroll. And we know they want to spend more and they might want to make some other moves. Kershaw is no longer going to be a Ranger like many of us thought. So let's see where else they're going to spend. But now they can do that with already having addressed another position without having to spend there. So I'm really interested to see what's next for the Rangers. This was a low cost acquisition. I think they're going to make a big trade. And I still think they're going to sign a dude because they didn't tap into their prospect pool, which has become very deep. And they didn't really dip into their pockets on this move. It was perfect.
It was perfect. Garver with Heim as the backup behind the plate, Nathaniel Lowe at first, Semien at second, Seager at short. You could put Yanni Hernandez at third, but Josh Young is MLB ready when he comes back from this torn labrum in his non-throwing shoulder. So when Young is healthy, he can slide back in as the DH or the third baseman. Outfield left to right as it stands now is Nick Solak, Adolis Garcia, Cole Calhoun, and Willie Calhoun as a backup as well. You've got Eli White there too. No relation, Cole Calhoun and Willie Calhoun.
They don't even spell it the same, right?
That is not the worst offense in baseball. That could be middling. I don't think it's bad.
No, it's not bad, and it's going to get better. It's going to get better. So I'm very interested to see, what their plans are going to be at the hot corner specifically. But the Rangers, Chris Young is not just spending. I don't think he's just. I think everyone saw Semien and Seager, and it's like, oh, they're just throwing money in John Gray too. I thought John Gray was actually a pretty strategic pickup, given how cheap it was. They're not just throwing money; they're making the right moves, and I think they're going to be calculated moving forward. Whether it's Matt Olson or whether it's someone else, I'm expecting them to be a little bit more cool and calculated. It's not just blank check season.
You got to go get pitching. Like right now, though, you have to go get pitching.
That's why it's going to be interesting to see if they're talking to Oakland as well. That's another one that I think could be talking to Oakland.
Sign me up for, hey, you know what? Maybe end of this year. I don't want to rule out end of this year, but for sure, beginning of 2022, beginning of 2023, John Gray, Frankie Montas, and Jack Leiter is the 1, 2, 3 in Texas.
And Cole Winn.
Ooh, sign me up.
That's a fun rotation.
Those were the 3 trades that went down that were notable. Let's get to the free agent signings now. Let's start with the Dodgers re-signing Clayton Kershaw, 1 year, $17 million. This was perfect.
Yeah, I feel like no one talked about that. It was, but people forget that we were signing him away to Texas. We were ending the Dodger era for Clayton Kershaw. I hope he's healthy. I don't want the Dodgers to be that good personally. Like, I'm always fine with them being good. I don't want them to be the best team ever. I don't want them winning 120 games. I hope they don't get Freddie Freeman. I'm sorry, Dodger fans. It's nothing. I don't hate the Dodgers.
I second
like
that.
Parody. I like parity, and I like baseball having its stars spread out.
All
so
right,
stop.
Mr. Marlin.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been on the bottom end of that stick, so you understand that side of things. But no, I think it's great to see him. He should be playing his entire career there. And it would be dumb to let him go at this stage of his career, especially because he was great when he was healthy last year. He was really good.
Yeah.
And they low-key needed pitching. They low-key really needed some back end of the rotation guys there. And it's crazy to call Kershaw that, but that's kind of where he slots in.
Yeah, good to have Kershaw as your 3. Clayton Kershaw is the 3 behind Buehler and Arias.
Yeah.
Man.
And if May was healthy, he'd be the 4 at this point in his career, I think.
What the fuck? Okay. Non-baseball thing real quick. Breaking news. Tom Brady says he will return for another season. Quote, I've realized my place is still on the field and not in the stands.
You're trolling me.
No, fuck. All right, back to baseball. Do with that what you will.
One thought on this real quick. One thought. And we don't even need to elaborate on this.
Is he Favre? Is he Favre 2.0?
No, what he is, and I love Tom Brady, but what he is the most attention-seeking dude I've ever seen in my life. This is the craziest play I've ever seen. Like, dude, don't make it. The whole retirement was a show, and now it's a show. I'm coming back. He retired for 2 weeks, bro. I think Brett Favre was longer than that. Ridiculous. Anyway, let's get back to baseball.
No, that's ridiculous. Next signing, it's stupid. Also in the NL West, Carlos Rodon, 2 years, $44 million with the San Francisco Giants. I freaking love this move, dude. Giants needed a lefty. You've got Logan Webb as your frontline guy. He slots in right there. When you have Logan Webb, Carlos Rodon, Alex Wood, Anthony DeSclafani, and who am I missing? Alex Cobb.
And they're going to somehow make him really good. Like,
this is a win, dude.
Yeah. And you know what I like about it the most, Jack, is that they don't really need him to pitch that much. And by that, I mean, is there any team that manages workloads better than the San Francisco Giants?
Yeah, that was their whole thing.
Whether it be position player wise, whether it be pitching wise, whether it be bullpen wise, they spread out their saves across their entire bullpen. You look at the starters, they only had one guy pitch more than 170 innings, which was Kevin Gossman. And they only had 2 guys pitch more than 150. So you could get an Alex Wood type of run from Carlos Rodon, which was 138 innings, and you're golden. This is so perfect. And he's going to be so good if he's healthy. And I think they're going to help him do that.
And we saw across 125 innings for Rodon that White Sox started to stretch him out a little bit, and he kind of deteriorated as the year went on. But through the first 125 innings of Rodon season, or first 100 innings of Rodon season, he was looking like a Cy Young winner.
Yeah. And I hate to say this because it could be totally different. So I want to acknowledge that this is just literally me speaking from my own personal experience with just the shoulder thing. Is when it's something that's just consistently plagued you for your whole career, like I've seen it now. Rodon, it's almost like it bothers him, then he figures it out, and is able to kind of put it to bed a little bit, and then it comes back. At this point, he's always, I think, going to have some level of shoulder issue. It's about how well can he mitigate that. And I know that sounds crazy, but when we say if he's healthy, it's really just if he can manage whatever's going on in his shoulder. His shoulder, I don't think, is ever going to be 100%. I think that's very clear. I think he's found a way to take it to as close to that as he can get it. And by throwing 99 miles an hour shows that was always there. He just didn't know how to get there. He changed his regimen and workout regimen, and he was much better. I think there needs to be a little bit more done in terms of preservation. And I think the Giants are going to help him do that.
And when he is as close to entirely mitigating that shoulder issue as possible, he is 99, maybe touching 100 miles an hour with carry. He gets a lot of run on his fastball. He gets a lot of swings and misses in the top half of the zone. He's got one of the best sliders in baseball. I mean, that thing is absolutely disgusting. That's why he went 3rd overall at NC State. He's also added a curveball that he throws about 6-7% of the time that offers this different look that is really, really strong. Carlos Rodon has a 3-pitch mix, can make it 4, that is super successful when he's healthy, and he turns into wipeout stuff. And I would not be shocked to see him put together an all-star caliber season for San Francisco, to be totally honest.
Wouldn't be shocked at all. And he doesn't need to pitch every fifth day. I think they can give him a couple extra days. I think they're going to manage him well. I'm really excited to see what this is going to look like. And I think he's going to do a good job for them.
Yeah, Jays added the one from San Francisco this offseason. They signed Kevin Gausman. They also just signed Yusei Kikuchi, 3 years, $36 million. Front loaded a little bit. He'll make $16 million this year. He'll make $10 million in 2023, $10 million in 2024. I didn't like this signing, but it gives them a very strong five, and as formidable a five as baseball has right now, with Gausman, with Ryu, with Barrios, with Kikuchi, and with Alek Manoah.
So do you think there's a world where they're looking at Yusei Kikuchi and they're saying, hey, maybe we can unlock Robbie Ray? Because the interesting thing about, and I'm not saying they're going to do it, I'm just saying I'm trying to justify it from their perspective. Kikuchi has shown flashes to be able to rack up strikeouts in bunches, like we saw with Robbie Ray. And also Kikuchi has shown flashes of not being able to command his stuff whatsoever. His fastball reached upper 90s quite a bit last year. We saw it get lively. Maybe they think that they can unlock something with him. That has to be in the back of somebody's mind there. I feel like that's what kind of spurred the move.
Dude, I mean, I'm just thinking if they get the postseason with that offense and you're running out Barrios, Gausman, Manoah, and then whoever's got the hot hand among Kikuchi and Ryu, that's a hard team to beat.
I agree. And I think the hot hand at that point might be Kikuchi. I don't think he's going to be great. I'm not saying that they're going to turn him into Cy Young Robbie Ray, but the guy's got some good stuff. He's got a lively fastball. I mean, it sits 95 and it's got a good profile. I mean, the fastball doesn't get hit that hard. He's got to eliminate his cutter. I'm like looking at his Savant page, I pulled it up, and 10 home runs on the cutter. And it's just not really a great pitch for him. So I think if going somewhere else and they kind of look at your arsenal and they're like, hey, have you thought about just not using this or using this more or doing this? Sometimes that's all it takes. I mean, that's literally to a degree. I'm not trying to water down because it's way more sophisticated than that, but that's a large part of what Codify does, right? Like, it's much more sophisticated than that, but Michael Fisher said it himself. Sometimes it's as easy as just telling the guys to stop throwing their bad pitches and throw their good pitches more. Sometimes that's a big part of it. And I think that could be the case here.
And they need somebody that has told someone successfully and you've seen the positive results, right?
Yep.
Like if we said, you say you got to stop throwing your cutter, he'll be like, who the fuck are you guys?
Yeah, exactly. But they helped Robbie Ray. So there's a track record a little bit. So we'll see. But yeah. And look at the way Manoah's developed. It's been a pretty good short-term track record there.
Yeah. Back to the Mets, 36-year-old Adam Adavino, 1 year, $4 million with $1 million of additional incentives. Adavino to the Mets. He is a fine bullpen piece. Don't let base runners get on, though, because it will be off to the races.
Yeah, I think you and I could steal on him.
Yeah.
I mean, another guy, like his sinker stunk last year. The slider's nasty, but he just relies on it a ton. If he's like their 6th, 7th inning guy, sure. Like that's fine.
We're going to go rapid fire now, man. White Sox signed Joe Kelly, 2 years, $17 million with a club option for 2024. Their obsession with velocity is just stupid right now, and they have to trade Kimbrel.
They need to go get Randy Dobnak.
No, they don't.
Offset the velo a little bit.
Thanks
but yeah, I think the writing's on the wall for Kimbrel, right?
I think so. Now that you signed Kelly to that money, Kimbrel has to be out.
Kelly's a great setup man still. So see you, Kimbrel.
He's phenomenal. And dude,
it's cheaper. If you can move him without if you can get the money obtain or whatever. If they eat the money, whoever gets him, I mean, you're cheaper with Kelly.
Yes, you are cheaper with Kelly. And looking at that bullpen right now, where you've got Hendricks, where you've got Graveman now, who they just signed, you've got Kelly, you've got Crochet, you've got Bummer. The first 4 all throw like 100. They all touch 100 regularly. And then Bummer has one of the nastiest 95-mile-an-hour sinkers baseball's seen in a little bit. So, I mean, this bullpen is borderline best in baseball. They also went and signed a second baseman, Josh Harrison, 1 year, $5.5 million with a club option for 2022. They needed one. I do not need to see Leury Garcia as the starting second baseman for the Chicago White Sox again. They have made sure that I will not be seeing that. Josh Harrison is the guy. Thank the Lord. I'm really excited for Josh Harrison.
I think he's so much fun, man. He's always been one of my favorite players back since Pittsburgh. Love the way he plays. I think the fans will love him there. He's just that blue collar. A middle infield too of him and Tim Anderson. there's just two guys that have a lot of fun on the diamond, make some flashy plays. That could be a lot of fun. And two guys that put the bat on the freaking ball, throwback type players. I love it.
Yeah. And you know what? Having Leury Garcia as your backup there, having Danny Mendick as a backup shortstop, like that is a fine middle infield. Next area of concern is right field. Go get Michael Conforto. Oh my God, please.
His markets, I think his market's percolating a little bit. I think he's actually going to get more money than people think.
Yeah, ridiculous. And I'm okay with Andrew Vaughn out there. I know a lot of White Sox people, I've been seeing this on the Twitter sphere. A lot of White Sox people don't think that Andrew Vaughn factors into a World Series winning White Sox team. I couldn't disagree more. I think Vaughn is phenomenal.
The guy that skipped the minor leagues and had success and early experience, was one of the first guys in the draft, if not the first guy in the draft from his class to get to the big leagues and got better and better. Yeah, I think Vaughn will be just fine. So I'm okay if Vaughn is the right fielder. He actually showed that he was fine defensively out and right and left. Way better than I thought he'd be.
Way better.
I thought he was going to suck. I'll be honest.
Me too.
I thought he was going to be brutal.
Perfect world, though. Eloy Jimenez is the DH for years to come. Andrew Vaughn's in left, and you go and sign a right fielder. You've got money for Conforto. Go do it. Another middle infielder going to Chicago, Andrelton Simmons, 1 year, $4 million. I want to talk about what this could mean for the Cubs elsewhere, right? Because Simmons, like, okay, we could analyze him. The reality is he's going to hit 220 to 230. He might hit 7 homers, but he'll play exceptional defense. Question is, how often is he playing? And I want the answer to be not much. You're paying $4 million for a backup shortstop. I think what this says, because I've seen from my Chicago cohorts that they're still willing to go be in the Correa sweepstakes. If they go and get Carlos Correa, that means Correa is your shortstop, Madrigal second, Andrelton Simmons is your backup second baseman and shortstop, and then Nico Horner factors out of the shortstop position entirely. I think Horner is best as an outfielder, possibly center, put Brennan Davis in right when he comes up, Hap still in left. I think this is a really solid offense for the Cubs and a lot more solid than people were anticipating.
Totally. This is just, to me, this is a utility guy. I think that's what he is at this point in his career. I know we get so used to Andrelton Simmons, shortstop, defense, blah, blah, blah. He's still a good defender. I don't think he's the gold glove elite defender if he's playing every day that he once was. This is a little bit more expensive utility guy that I think they're bringing in for more than just what he brings to the plate and what he brings in the field. I think it's more about just bringing another veteran into the fold here for a team that's probably trying to find its identity from the inside after they traded so many of their big time stars and main core guys that helped build what their identity was before.
Yeah, he's a veteran leader. He will be great in the clubhouse. He is aware. He went through the mental health shit in like 2020. He is a mental health advocate. He was really down during the 2020 season. So it's good to have Andrelton Simmons in there to provide a little bit of perspective to a team that is going to be very young and is going to be very fiery. So that's a very steady face. And how much does that cost? Maybe $4 million there. Yeah, next one for you. The Phillies went and got a reliever because they can't develop any. 1 year, $6 million for Jerry's Familia. What do you think?
I mean, it's expensive, right? But at the same time, it's not, because when you look at some of the other deals and you're like, okay, well, some much worse pitchers have gotten more. I mean, when Familia was good, it's turbo sinkers that just you swing and it hits you on the hands as a righty. He could be phenomenal, but he hasn't been phenomenal the last 2 years. So it's going to be interesting, but a lot of upside there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, there's a chance he's good. There's also a chance he goes to Philly and he sucks now, like, because he's a Philadelphia Phillies reliever. Yeah. Jake Diekman is a Red Sox, though.
It's a good pickup, but their whole bullpen's lefties. I don't really understand what they're doing over there because they got Strom too.
Oh yeah, they got what was it? North Dakota's finest, Matt Strom.
Is it North Dakota's finest? I know Wyoming's only player is
Nimmo.
Brandon Nimmo, but yeah,
Matt Strom was in San Diego. I do know that about Matt Strom. Yeah, he's from West Fargo, North Dakota.
Wow.
He's 6'3". Congratulations to Matt Strom for being 6'3". Apparently, that's the perfect height.
Is that? Says who?
Most women that I've interacted with, I'm 5'11" and change.
Yeah, that's what I'm dealing with here too. They're just look at you like, I wish you were like 3 1/4 inches taller.
Yeah, damn. If only you were Matt Strom. Who else we got? Astros sign a couple of guys, Nico Goodrum to a $2 million deal, and then Lewis Brinson to a minor league deal.
Okay, you know how the Brinson backstory is just going to always be like, there's always going to be a whole thing to it. But if I were any of the 29 other teams, why the hell would you not sign Lewis Brinson to a minor league deal? He's an elite defender in the outfield, and we know what he's physically capable of. I don't think he's ever going to figure it out, but like, it's a minor league deal. Why wouldn't you try it? I think the Astros, it was a great move there. Goodrum to me is kind of a flyer too. He's never really hit at the big league level. He was once a prospect, so I could see them wanting to kind of see what they could get here. But again, this is another utility type, I think, more so, that can play a little bit all over.
Yeah, the Orioles just blocked Adley Rutschman. I mean, Adley's got to be behind while Robinson Chirinos rakes.
He can hit some bombs. He can hit some bombs.
A 1-year deal. That's good tutelage for Adley when it comes up.
It's good. Well, I was going to say, it's good for Robinson Chirinos to be able to learn from Adley Rutschman.
Just a little bit, yeah. Another catcher. The Angels re-signed Kurt Suzuki.
So Anthony Mulrine on the call-up was talking about Kurt, and he was saying Kurt has really just reinvented himself, totally changed the way he was catching, and does a really good job, and staff likes working with him. So that seems like just keep the familiar face around. Our pitchers like him type dude. Yeah,
and he can be the backup for Stassi.
Yeah, Stassi was nasty last year. There's no way he replicates that. I can't see it. I don't know what happened last year with Max Stassi. In the first half, I think he was insane.
Yeah. Other signings that I feel like bringing up, because I don't feel like bringing up Vince Velasquez to the White Sox. The Marlins signed Roman Quinn to a minor league deal. Roman Quinn certified very fast.
That's it. though. That's it. I don't think he's ever had a WRC plus above like 65.
It was a minor league deal. Is Roman Quinn the new Terrence Gore?
There's a very high chance that
just sign with the World Series winner and pinch run.
They let Magneuris Sierra go, so he's the new speedster. Brinson's gone. They needed speed, and I know Monte Harrison is good as gone too.
Yeah, how about that? Yankees. Speaking of speed, Tim LaCastro to a 1-year major league deal. That is super underwhelming for Yankees fans.
He must have sold them in that one inning he played for them. But
the pride of Auburn, New York.
That was so tragic. Like watching him just finally get out there for the Yankees and tore his ACL. But I guess that was the guy that had a good presence. Another dude that they wanted to keep. The Yankees need speed. They need speed too. So that's another guy that you got to have.
They got it. Isn't he the fastest guy in baseball in terms of sprint speed?
By feet per second? Yes, he is, according to Baseball Savant.
How about that? My favorite player in baseball, Eddie Adrianza. He signed a 1-year deal with the Washington Nationals. Adrianza, it's a major league deal, $1.5 million. So I have to watch the Nats every single night that Adrianza's in the lineup.
They also got Anibal Sanchez, who apparently was so good in his workout, according to John Heyman, that he got an offer 10 minutes after.
Minor league deal, though.
He was so good, though.
Yeah, he'll be in.
John Heyman's tweets make me laugh so hard. He also called Craig Mish's son his daughter, by the way. John Heyman did.
Oh, really? What's Craig's son's name?
Hayes Mish. So Hayes Mish broke a minor league signing by the Marlins. Said, my dad tells me that this happened. I forget what the signing was. And Heyman was kind-heartedly quote tweeting it. Of course, just trying to be a nice guy because he is a nice guy. And was like, nobody knows the fish like Mish. Craig's daughter, Hayes Mish, on the report here, or beats me to a report here. I'm like, God damn it. Heyman, even when he's being nice, it's just there's a little botch in the tweet. But
brutal, John. Brutal. A couple more. Steve Cishek is a National as well. Yippee. Texas signed Matt Moore to a minor league deal, and then Martin Perez to 1-year, $4 million. Like they had zero pitching. You've got John Gray, you've got Dane Dunning, and now you've got Martin Perez as your 3. Maybe figure Spencer Howard factors in for a couple of starts here and there. Like, I don't know.
I think they're praying Martin Perez is their sixth arm by 3 months into the season. I think there is a realistic scenario where they're hoping for that.
Yeah.
Cole Winn should be up 2 months into the year, I think.
Leiter could honestly be up in August.
I know. Well, like they bring Winn up. I think they're going to go get another arm. Owen White I think is going to get up kind of quick too. A really underrated prospect there. But yeah, I don't think they want much out of Perez. I think it's two lefties, and they're saying one of them could overachieve. We know what Moore was always expected to be and has the raw ability. We'll see if one of them can turn into something.
All right, that's it from me. You got any that are piquing your interest that we didn't go over?
Well, that's a good question. There's a lot of rumors I'm very excited about, and I know we'll save those for most of the week, as they're happening. The Brewers did bring back Brad Boxberger, which I actually think was important because that bullpen outside of the back end, they needed some middle relief guys. So that was one I liked. But the rest is kind of rumors, right? Like we're not looking at anything really specific in terms of what kind of moves we'll see them make. But I do have one thing that did stand out to me that I'm just scrolling past and seeing now. Mike Trout took over as the Angels' primary center fielder in 2012 and was a stalwart there until last year. Then a calf injury limited to 36 games. It seems like the time has come where the team is thinking about when to move the 30-year-old into a corner outfield role. Manager Joe Maddon told reporters, including Jeff Fletcher of the Orange County Register, that the team has talked about the possibility of slotting Brandon Marsh into center field instead. I swear to you, Jack, we're good friends. We've been doing this for a while. I did not have that prepared. When you asked me if I had anything else left, I was scrolling through MLB trade rumors and that popped up. So for those who might be newer to the show, maybe Jack and I have had a few arguments. One is Casey Mize. The other was moving Mike Trout from center field. And I said I would move Brandon Marsh into center field and move Trout to a corner for that reason that I just read to preserve his health. And because Brandon Marsh is so good in center. Jack, I was not ready to dunk on you today, but sometimes you just get an alley-oop thrown right in front of the rim. And unfortunately, I am DeAndre Jordan and you are Brandon Knight.
Yeah, well, you might actually windmilled too. I think you just windmilled.
Gerald Green, that Gerald Green one, you know what I'm talking about, where he catches it and brings it all the way back around. That one was fire.
I think that's what you just did in my face. On my chin.
Can we get somebody, Ben Bellotti, can you NFT this?
Oh, God, this is brutal. Put it on the blockchain. Yeah, all right. Before we wrap, I give you $100 of fake money. You give me 3 teams that could win the national title in college basketball. Bracket just got revealed last night. You get any of those 3 teams, you get $500. You don't get any of those 3 teams, you get your $100 back.
It's the craziest way of asking which 3 teams do you think could win?
Or no, you lose your $100. Yeah.
Okay.
Which 3 teams do you think can win the national championship? I was trying to paint this big visual here. I was trying to be fun.
You give somebody $100.
I forgot. I forgot Pete's the gambling guy. I forgot that's how you get thoughts across to Pete, but you can just say hey, 3 teams to win the national championship.
Well, yeah. Well, also if you brought it up, you can put it on based on the odds. So theoretically, I would put probably 50 on Gonzaga because I think they're still far and away the best team in the country. And their odds are going to be the shortest. But if they win, I'll profit no matter what. Then I'm probably sprinkling 20, 20, and 10. Or if I can only pick 3, 25, 25 on 2 teams with maybe a little bit longer shot odds. But Gonzaga to me, I mean, look, anything can happen in the tournament, but they're so freaking good, Jack. I just... That team is going to be really tough to beat, as we know. I still think Purdue's got a really good balance, and I think Jaden Ivey's the type of dude that could take over the tournament. And I'm curious. I want to hear yours before I give the third because I'm between a couple teams. I might kind of ask you who my third should be.
So if I really had to give you 3 teams that I genuinely thought were going to win the NCAA tournament, and I was just picking here's who's going to win the NCAA tournament. I have 3 chances. Let's go. It's Gonzaga, it's Arizona, so the 1-2 seeds, and then Kentucky on the 2 line. I think it's Gonzaga, Arizona.
Even after that rough game,
Tennessee played their best game of the year by far.
And Sheway was in foul trouble.
Was in foul trouble.
I like Arizona a lot too, man. That probably would be my third. But I also, I've been saying, don't sleep on my Miami Hurricanes.
Don't sleep on the Canes. Do not sleep on the Big Ten champion Iowa Hawkeyes. The offense is stupid good, and Keegan Murray is amazing.
Keegan Murray is really darn good. If for those filling out the brackets too, I think we'll be doing a little bit of that on Not Gambling Advice.
Yeah, I'll be a guest on the show. I'll be on to talk some college hoops. I'm not going to fill out a bracket for them. I save my bracket for myself.
Hell yeah. And we're going to have a little bit of an internal competition here, but I'm glad I was able to catch that Trout headline real quick because I would have had to sit on that for a couple days. I'm still gonna dunk on you in the group chat, and
That's fine.
then I'll take my victory lap, and then we'll pretend it never happened.
That's fine. I'm going to go get in the shower and cry. Me and Pete talking to you tomorrow.